It's got everybody talking about it, Dean. I spent 20 minutes on the phone with Chris Myers today, who is actually broadcasting the game for Fox. And the question is, did the rear end hit before the ball was basically stripped out and pulled away? Another short episode of Last Call here. Dean Blandino and me, Mike Pereira, we're covering plays from this week one. And boy, Jamie asked the question, please explain how that was not a fumble or a down by contact in the Minnesota-Cincinnati game. On the field, Dalvin Cook was ruled to have fumbled the ball. Cincinnati recovered. It went to a review and it stayed as a fumble. It's got everybody talking about it, Dean. I spent 20 minutes on the phone with Chris Myers today, who is actually broadcasting the game for Fox. And the question is, did the rear end hit before the ball was basically stripped out and pulled away? It's really close. And there's a couple elements to talk about here, I guess. Number one, when you look at the entire week, we've got a new group of people reviewing plays in New York. We've got Walt Anderson and Perry Fuel. Those are the two guys in New York that are reviewing games for the first time in the regular season. They did some in the preseason, but not in the regular season. So this is maybe a different approach and a different philosophy, and something, as we know, it takes time. It takes time to get consistent in this area. And if there's anything I would say, the office leaned more to staying with the call on the field than they did reversing the call on the field. They even deemed, to me, when they looked at a tight play and looked at all the shots that didn't feel like there was anything there that would allow them to overturn it, they didn't even review it. They just moved right on. So, you know, this one, I said, I think it's a fumble, but I think doesn't mean that you overturn it on the field. Same situation we had at the goal line, same game. I thought it was a touchdown, but there wasn't a shot down the line, the goal line, that could prove whether it wasn't or was. I don't know where you go here.
Yeah, I mean, all of this is in line. That play, it's a perfect storm because you're in overtime, right? A field goal wins the game at that point. The Vikings are in field goal range, long field goal range. They're trying to get a little bit closer to win the game, and you have the fumble. It's close. Cook's butt is down. Does he have control? There's a lot of bodies. Not a great look. It didn't jump out. I think he's down like you, but can you really prove it? And I do think that right, that sticks to the basic premise in replay. The replay was designed to fix the obvious error in a significant situation. So if you look at that play and you ask yourself, is that an obvious error? And the answer, no, it's not obvious, right? He might be down. I think he's down, but it's not a more than likely standard. It has to be, right? And we've kind of gone through different iterations. It was indisputable visual evidence. Now it's clear and obvious. The idea is the obvious mistake. And there's a lot of people saying, well, the ruling on the field carries a lot of weight. Well, it should. And do you have officials that don't see something clearly on the field, and do they just let it go in a replay situation to allow replay to look at it? I don't think that's the case here, because either way, even if they rule it down, if there's a recovery by Cleveland will get the football. It's not like there was a long return that they would be negating. So again, I think it's a tough play. It's close. And whatever the ruling on the field was, it was going to stay. And I think the philosophy, it's not a bad philosophy. That's the goal, right? Fix the obvious mistakes, let everything else stand. You just make sure that, okay, we're going to do this consistently. And if we're not changing it in week one, we shouldn't change it in week two, but we also can't use stands as a crutch. And we have to overturn when it is an obvious mistake. So tough play, remains to be seen how the rest of the season plays out.
It is a trap, though. I mean, there is a trap, because in those close situations, when it comes to quarterback pass fumbles or runner being down or not down, I mean, the fact is that the officials have been burned before by ruling a runner down, and then it is a fumble, but they ruled them down, and then there's a long return by the defense. But the defense doesn't get the return. And that's the trap in some of those plays.
Sure,
You're gonna lean in one direction if you're not 100% sure. Now, the trap is it's hard sometimes for replay to get the shot, even though you as an official might have thought he was down, but you weren't sure. You lean one way, and then replay has to lean in that direction for you if they don't have anything that is clear and obvious. And it also, you know, it's just the way it is, but certain games have a certain amount of cameras and certain games have a lot less cameras. And if you look at these games and, you know, you're looking, we're in the NFL and we're major networks and we're trying to get all the calls right. And even in that second play, we don't have a camera on the goal line. Not anybody's fault. Bill Belichick used to say, it was one of the few things I agreed with him on. He used to say, we need fixed cameras down the in line, the goal line, and the sidelines. And the more I think about it, I agree, because there can be that big play at the end of the game like this one where you don't get the shot. And maybe if you had fixed cameras, not in this particular situation, you would have the shot. Pylons cameras, yes, we have them, but not always effective. But I just think it's something that the league really needs to look into.
Yeah, and the technology continues to improve. I think I said Cleveland, it was Cincinnati that had the clear recovery, but the technology continues to improve. They're using the Hawkeye system, which allows you to bring in multiple camera feeds and sync them. I think you talk about fixed cameras. That does help on the long play. That Justin Jefferson play was a long play where you're not going to waste a camera on the goal line in the, you know, the small chance that you're going to have a play, a 40, 50-yard play, but it does come up. And I think, again, the league will continue to look at new ways, technology. How can we help get the right angle? Because you don't want to not be able to correct an obvious mistake with that because you don't have the right angle. So again, tough play, game goes to overtime. When you lose a game like that, you're obviously, I get Vikings fans being upset, and we'll see how it plays out going forward.